Hello, welcome back to the Story Hour podcast, Voices Unscripted, Stories Rewritten with your host, Sara Jaswal. I am back for another solo episode and I'm excited to be here. As always, it's so fun to sit here and chat with you all. What sparked today's episode? Thinking and reflecting about life. Obviously, I do that often, but my birthday's coming up. And I know I mentioned that in a previous episode, but I've just been thinking about what I want this next year to look like, feel like, what are maybe some goals that I have in mind. I always think of my birthday as like a new year. So in January, I do go into introspection and start kind of planting the seeds, even though I really feel like spring is our actual new year when everything's blooming and the weather's nicer and all that stuff. But so I do that periodically, obviously. And then it just so happens to be around my birthday, it's another new year for me. So I really go into an introspection, what the last year has been like, what worked, what didn't work, where can I make changes in my life, what are some goals that not only I accomplished, because I think that's so important. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm really big on celebrating all of our wins. And so I do that a lot too, just thinking about, the areas that I did excel in and the goals that did come to fruition and that I achieved. And then also going into the other aspect of it, thinking and talking about what didn't work, where did I fall short, and then why was that, and just reflecting on that, seeing where I was, who I was during those seasons of life. So that's what today's topic is going to be about. I'm just going to shoot the shit with you guys as I normally do and just interweave whatever kind of comes through for me. But I do want to start off, before I get into all that, is just to say thank you. I really want to honor you, my community, the listeners, the TSH family. It's just been so nice. And I know there's so many people out there that watch the episodes, that are downloading the episodes. Even though there's not direct engagement, obviously what I'm sharing and what I'm speaking is resonating and landing because there's so many of you that are watching and following, and I just really appreciate that. So I want to take a moment to say thank you. I'm also nearing almost 1 year of the launch of the Story Hour podcast. Holy smokes. June 22nd will be 1 year. So obviously I'm going to come back and do a special episode dedicated to that and talk more about what this last year has been around the podcast. But I just want to say thank you. There's people from all over the world. When I was looking at the data a couple of days ago and the stats in different countries and different cities. And so obviously there's something happening with the podcast and all the work that I'm putting in, all the energy and the love and just showing up and being vulnerable and being authentic and sharing my life with you. I'm just so grateful, deeply, deeply grateful. And actually, I want to share a story. And I just think it's so relevant and prevalent. And just with, we all get into our head. So, of course, I have my insecurities. I wonder if these episodes are landing. You start second guessing yourself. Is anyone listening? Does anyone even care? And so truthfully, the answer to those is yeah, based on what I just shared, and just people messaging me separately or even just engaging with me personally and letting me know that, wow, thank you for speaking to that. Like, oh my gosh, or I didn't know you were going through that. I also have been struggling in my own ways. And I actually just had a couple of weeks ago a family member who reached out to me. We were actually out at an event. And it's someone that I don't see often. We see each other at bigger events. And, went to say hi. And she shared with me that she listens to the podcast. And so does her kids. And she said, it's so great what you're doing. Thank you for sharing your life and your story, bringing people on to share that as well. And so we got into this whole conversation. And it just really, humbly, it did something to me. And like I said, I get caught up in my head a lot of times or, here and there. And so to hear someone to provide that feedback, it's validating that, people appreciate it and they're feeling less alone. And that's the whole premise around the Story Hour podcast anyways. And so to hear that feedback, feedback is information, right? That actually helps me to move forward in certain directions. And so also, even if I'm like, oh, no one's really listening, it's like, no, people are listening. So it actually fuels me to keep going. And so we had a really great conversation. I won't get into all of it, but, and if you're listening, you know who you are. I really appreciate everything you shared with me. And it just shows like, reach out to people, tell them what you appreciate about them, or just saying thank you. And I'm not even just talking about myself. This is not coming from any egotistical way whatsoever. But it is nice to know that what you're putting out into the world is being reciprocated and it's helping, because that's all we're here. We're here to be of service. We're here to support one another. We're here to help one another. And even if it's in the smallest, tiniest bit. And I shared that with them as well. I really appreciated them sharing with me that what I'm doing is being appreciated and that it's helpful and that it's making other people feel and less alone, but also reflecting on their life and just that we all are struggling. I think that was a big part of that conversation, but in general too, and I've shared this many times, if you've been here for a long time, you know that the premise of the Story Hour podcast is that, is to bring people on, is to share my life, aspects of it, because I don't share everything, believe it or not. There's a lot of stuff I keep very private and I keep very sacred to myself, but there is a lot that I share and I love that. It's that connection piece. If we go back to that, and even the community connection, collective healing, like it's just interwoven in all of this, right? This is how we build connection. It's like, you may not talk to me or know me personally, but you can connect to what is being said and shared on this podcast, whether I'm doing solo episodes or whether I have guests on here. And it really validated the need for what I built here. And I think that's what I'm trying to convey here, is that there was a missing piece, I think, in the world of just really normalizing that we're all going through something or another. It's not going to look the same, but there are parallels and there's a lot of similarities. And so if you can hear someone or talk to someone or be in a community with someone, in a group with someone, and to hear that they're also going through something, it definitely makes you feel so much less isolated, because it can be very isolating. And I know that firsthand. I think everything that happened in my life prior to all of this, like the podcast, my work, and just who I am as a person, all the growth and transformation that has happened, was because of that and rooted in that. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about the community connection, collective healing, because I felt so alone in my darkness, in my depression, in my anxiety, in just life, all those struggles that we bury inside of us and we don't really speak them openly and truthfully. And so it wasn't until I received the support that now I'm able to provide to you, is when I really truly felt connected. And it was like people actually understood it. They didn't have the same diagnosis as me. They didn't have the same condition. They didn't have the exact same struggles, but they listened, they held space. They knew what it meant they knew struggle. They knew hardship. They knew challenges. And we all face them. A lot of people run from them and they are in denial and don't speak to them. And there's all these things, but it's so important. And so I just really want to, hold this space for you all who are listening, who are downloading the episodes, who are showing it love, and who are resonating with the messages that are being shared. Just wanted to say thank you. And that really meant a lot to me, because I am very much in my head a lot of times. But to hear that feedback, it was really great to hear. Something else along that topic I think is so important to touch on too. And I obviously feel it and I experience it, but I've been seeing it a lot more coming up on my feeds on TikTok and Instagram. And just that as a society, we're so used to and so trained and programmed to celebrate the really big things. And when you think of that, you think of getting married, having children, climbing up the corporate ladder. Like those three, from the top of my head, there's so much praise and so much congratulations around that. You've reached like a certain level if you've accomplished any one of those three things. And as you all know, I'm single. And I've felt this for years now, probably for the last 5-6 years maybe, that there's a lot of things that people don't celebrate or don't even think to maybe reach out and say congratulations, or touch on the growth and the transformation, or just like all the other things that we do in life that aren't deemed as big and super big milestones. There's just so many things, even in like your day to day, whatever is happening. But I don't know, I think about myself. I'll use myself as an example. I don't know why I feel like I'm reluctant to share it, because I don't want it to come across as I'm wanting these compliments or anything. But in a way, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you say nice things about someone when you see them or when you talk to them, especially family and friends? And there's so many people that are like that, and they will celebrate your big wins, even if they're not the traditional societal norms and standards. And so I've seen that. And honestly, I track that and I just notice it, because I feel obviously I'm not where I should be in life, because I'm going to be 39 next year. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I'm definitely not in the corporate world. But there's so many things where I'm like, oh, it would have been nice to be acknowledged, or, you know, all these things that I've done. And I don't know, I think it's a really big thing in just societally. And it's interesting to see it, because there's so many things like, you know, starting a business or just healing and becoming this person that you've worked so hard to be, the confidence, the way you show up, the way you care, the way you love, or, you know, just other accolades and just other things that I just feel like aren't expressed enough. They're not shared enough. And that's, I don't know, it's kind of sad in a way, because if I were to get married and I shared that, or if I were to have a kid, the amount of engagement and outpour that I would get would be substantially different than what I've been doing for the last 8 years. Like, massive. And it's so interesting to me to think that, why do people praise that and celebrate that so much? They'll reach out to you. People you don't even talk to will reach out and say congratulations and this and that when you share something along weddings and marriage and children. But they've been silent this whole time when you've done a million other things that don't fit into these big societal standards and norms. And I just don't agree with that. I think people should be celebrated no matter what. Everyone has a different path in life. And again, I'm not just talking about myself. I really want to emphasize that, because I don't want it to get twisted, but this is just the reality of it. And I know so many people go through that. And it's kind of frustrating in a little way. They say you don't need validation from other people, but you kind of do. Like, it's nice to be rewarded. It's nice to be appreciated. It's nice to be acknowledged. I have no problem in saying that. Is that I love when I get feedback from other people and they appreciate the work that I'm doing, because it takes a lot of time, energy, effort, mental capacity, physical capacity, you know, amongst everything else. And it's like they're barely recognized. And I don't know, there's just something about that just doesn't sit well. I just saw a reel on TikTok, and she was talking about, I think she's talking about birthday specifically, and basically saying people who are single kind of get left out a lot, right? There's no really big celebrations that they're having. They don't have kids, they don't have a family, so they're not having anniversaries, they're not having birthday parties for kids, they're not having whatever it is, right? All the coupley stuff, all the family stuff. And it's like, we should be celebrating people all the time, no matter what. If you know me, you know this about me. If that I'm a very big birthday person. I love birthdays. I love to celebrate myself. I've got mocked about it my whole life. And I kind of get, I'm offended by that a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, why not? It's a birthday, and birthdays are so special. They're the one day that we came here earthside. It's the one day that we decided to come here to, you know, experience this human life. And it's the one day that's about us. We bring so much into the world, each of us. And it's like, yeah, birthdays are a big deal. Not everyone feels that way, and that's okay. But I think they are really special, and they're meant to be celebrated. On that too is, like I said, my birthday's coming up, and I will be honest, the last couple of birthdays, several birthdays, I've actually been very not myself. I've been depressed, I've been sad, or I've just been not excited. And if you knew me growing up, you knew me in my 20s and even like, well, I guess early 30s, I was super excited, but it's kind of fizzled over the years. And that's because I have this like I'm not where I want to be in life. Things aren't working out. My dreams aren't coming into fruition. I don't have everything that I'm longing for, being single and not having kids, and then thinking about, oh my gosh, there's another year. And it's all those things. It's all the complaints. It's all the, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. I'm not happy, and blah, 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 blah. But there's so much else on top of that that is working that I am grateful for. So I get it. I now get it. I never used to. And then I've felt bad about that. I'm like, oh, it's my birthday. I should be excited. But I will say, without getting into detail, the last several birthdays on and off have been not so great. And some of them have been really terrible. But this year, I'm coming in it with a different energy. Near the beginning of the year, I start thinking about what I want my year to look like. What do I want to create for myself? And how do I want to feel more like, not even just tangible things, but how do I want to feel? And I thought about it. My birthday's on a Saturday this year. So I'm like, that's a big deal. My birthday's not going to be on a Saturday for another, I guess, 7 years, unless there's a leap year. So it's a weekend. What am I going to do? And I hummed and hawed between celebrating or not celebrating, making it a big deal or not making it a big deal. Last year, I was in Montreal for a solo trip, which was amazing. And it was so great. And I was like, okay, I was away from family and friends last year. Do I really want to do that again this year? Do I want to lay low? And then I decided that I wanted to celebrate. And the thing I want to get into is this, everything I'm sharing is very interconnected. But what I was thinking is we're always waiting for the perfect moment, for the special moment, for the big milestone moments, to do anything, to spend money, to have fun, to just, I don't know, to just live and be happy and joyful and have these life experiences. We're always waiting for the next big thing. And the thing is, those are never going to come. What if tomorrow's not promised? I don't know. And for me, I keep thinking, well, I'm turning 40 next year, so then I'll do a big birthday. Then I'll celebrate. Then I'll do X, Y, Z. And something about that just didn't sit right with me. And I'm like, I keep waiting, and there's just so many things. This is a question that actually came through. Am I actually truly living my life to the fullest? That one question really opened up a lot, and I'm sure it can for you too. If you actually sit down with yourself and you ask yourself that, am I truly living my life to my fullest potential? Or I would bet a lot would come up for you, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's 100% going to be uncomfortable, because we know, our bodies know, our soul knows where there's room for growth, where we're meant to evolve and change, but we're not doing that for whatever reason, because we're scared, fear of the unknown, fear of the future, whatever it is. And so for me, I'm like, why do I keep waiting? Why can't 39 be just as special as 40? It's just a number. Why can't I do that? And then when I said that out loud, I'm like, but I can do that. It is in my control to determine how I want this, how I want to celebrate my birthday, how I want to celebrate another trip around the sun and start this next chapter of my life. And so I am celebrating my birthday, and I'm going a little bit all out, but it's not even all out. Like, I'm going to dinner with my girlfriends and gonna get dressed up, and we're gonna have a good time, and it's gonna be great. Growing up, always ordered a cake, or someone got me a cake and it was a thing. I've cut cake my whole life. We do it with my family. It's just a ritual that we have. And I like that. I don't mean just any cake. I mean like a special cake. And again, why are these terms special and milestones so pivotal? It's almost like they have control. They're in the driver's seat. And so, but I'm doing that. I ordered myself a cake, you guys. It sounds so stupid. It sounds so simple. But to me, just because of, I don't know, where my brain goes and my thought process, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so extra. It's not even that fancy of a cake. It's just I had a vision and I ordered it. And I want to get really dressed up. I want to get dolled up. I want to be dresses and heels and, you know, have that energy and go a little bit extra than my normal day to day. And for some reason, that just feels so grand. And then I'm like, well, it's just my 39th. I talked to a friend of mine and I was talking this through with her. I'm like, this is what I want, but it's too much. And she convinced me to do it. She's like, yeah, that sounds perfect. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's make a day out of it. Let's celebrate you. And I was like, okay, but even now, why do I feel like this is too much. And it's just interesting. I'm sure there's other people that can relate to this. But I just decided, it was honestly a decision I made. You can either sit here and go back and forth with yourself and then regret it later that you didn't do anything and that made you even more upset and more miserable. Or you can do it and have fun and make memories, take pictures, cut a cake, go out, have an evening out. You're always home. Like, make it something special because you are special. Your birthday is special. This is your day. And that's how I feel about birthdays. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And I really want to touch on the fact of that question that was coming through for me is, if I were to die today, and this isn't coming from a morbid place, I honestly love talking about death, dying, grief, and loss. If you haven't noticed by now, clearly I'm passionate about it. And I think we need to start normalizing these conversations and not be so afraid to talk about death or to talk about our desires, our wants, and to be able to express those to our family, to our friends. This is what I want. Can you help me? Or this is what I desire for this occasion or that occasion. What can we do? Let's brainstorm together. And that was another thing for me, is I'm feeling like I'm always making decisions by myself. I'm doing life by myself because I am. Obviously I have family and friends, but if you listen to my previous episode, it's just different, right? And so I'm doing life by myself constantly. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually express what I'm feeling and share with my friends that this is what I want and this is what I'm feeling like doing. Going back to that, okay, there's always next year. Next year will be a big birthday. Or, oh, maybe I'll get married in the next year or two. Then I'll have a really big celebration for my wedding and the birthday can just get tossed to the side. But why do we do that? I'm thinking collectively. I don't know why. Maybe fear, or I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't sit right with me. What if I'm not around for my 40th birthday? I don't know, right? I don't think I'm dying anytime soon, but I don't know what's written in the stars for me. Then I realized, stop waiting, Sara. Stop waiting and start living. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the special moment. Stop waiting, period. And that's just really something that I think is so prevalent just in our world today. And I want to change that. I want to change that for myself. I want to open up this dialogue. Also, is like, I think about it often. If I were to die today, like right now, what would my regrets be? What would I regret if I was literally dying and I was on my deathbed right now? And I sat with that, and I have been doing that for a while. And, you know, there's death all around us. And so that even fuels me even more when someone around me has died, or even someone I don't even know, and you start reflecting on death and your own life and your own mortality. I actually wrote these down, but the things, truthfully, if I were on my deathbed today and I was dying and I only had 24 hours, 36 hours to live, the regrets that I would have, they fall into 4 different categories. And they are fear, control, scarcity, and disconnection from joy. If I had to categorize, because there's so much depth under each of those topics, I could say that right now, that I would have those regrets right now. And it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a good or bad thing. I just think it's information. It's data showing me what are the areas that I can improve on and work through, but also how can I use this list to fuel me to not have those regrets when it is my time to go? How can I use this to let go of certain things? So under fear, I talk about fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of being seen, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Those are some things that fall under fear. And if I were to die today, would any of that matter? No, none of it would. And yeah, there's aspects of that. I've grown so much in all these areas, but there's still parts of me that fear those things. Even though my life in the last 8 years proves otherwise, sometimes you still think that about yourself, or you just still fall into those things. A lot better, but I wouldn't say I'm 100%. This is a lifelong thing, but I feel that about now. Speaking about this moment in time, you look at control. rigidity. There's aspects and levels of perfectionism, the overthinking, the grasping onto the outcome, wanting to know just how life's going to be played out, and having this debilitating fear of the unknown, of, oh my gosh, things are going to go wrong. And then you go into overdrive and overthinking. I struggle with that. And I've come a long ways for sure, but I still struggle. I can feel it in my body. It's like I'm so terrified of not knowing, and I feel like my life's just gonna collapse. And that actually brings me emotional. So obviously there's still room to work through that, and I know that. But that's a real thing. But if I were to die today, would those things matter? I would regret that. I would regret not being more curious, not being more, just letting life happen and fall into place the way it's meant to, the way it has for me always. Every time I think the worst, like the absolute worst of something, it actually ends up being 10 times better than I could have ever imagined. And I can see that. I have proof of that. But for some reason, I still want so much control of my life, so much control of my health, so much worry and fear that goes on into what that's going to look like. What if something's taken from me? How am I going to survive? There's obviously deeper rooted issues there, which I'm not going to get into, but this is just what was coming up for me. And I'm sharing these and giving you examples of my own personal experience because I know it can relate to a lot of you. I'm not the only one that's struggling with this. And so the other reason is, well, as you're listening to that, is to just be gentle with yourself. This isn't shame, blame kind of thing. This is just recognizing, where am I not living to the fullest, or letting small things or big things get in the way of actually truly living and being happy and fulfilled and joyful. I think about it all the time. I feel like I wasted so much of my life, especially the last, X amount of years, in worry. And for what? We're all gonna die. Things happen. We fail at things. We are great at things. We accomplish things. Relationships end. Relationships evolve and grow and bloom. And there's grief and there's loss and there's trauma and there's pain. All the things that we all go through. But at the end of the day, that's what life is about. So all that worry, part of me feels like I'm wasting my days, and I'm really trying to shift and use these to fuel me to let go, starting to let go a little bit, and knowing that both can be true at the same time. Yeah, I can have some fear of the unknown, but also not letting fear run my life, and knowing that the fear is going to be there. The fear is a representation that you're growing, that you're evolving, and you're never going to be left with nothing. God would not do that to you. He hasn't done that to you this far. It's not going to happen. You will be okay. And there's a quote that I've used and actually have it written in my kitchen. It's, everything is figure outable. And as simple as that. If something doesn't work out, something else will fall into place. You can figure it out. And I just get so caught up in my head about just wanting to know how it's going to play out. And it's a protective mechanism because I don't want to get hurt, or I don't want to be disappointed or let down. So those are fear and control, and they're very big and prevalent in my life. Scarcity, so that would be feeling behind, comparison, feeling like not enough, just that lack mindset. And that's in a lot of areas in life, right? About my timeline versus someone else's timeline, being single, not having children, what does that look like? Am I falling behind? Comparing yourself to everyone else has it put together, everyone else is this, and I'm not. Some of these aren't as prevalent as the other ones are, but there's still things that I think about. Would these matter? Like, what was I comparing myself for? My timeline was my timeline. My death was written in the stars well before. There's nothing I can change to control that. So why am I spending so much time on these things? And I want to emphasize that I know this is a lot easier said than done. I'm just speaking to it, sharing with you what my thought process is and how I feel and how it takes me out sometimes. But also, it is hard. It's really hard to let go of control when all your whole life, that's how you've operated, that's how you functioned. But there is room for growth there. And then you have disconnection from joy. That was another thing that came through for me when I was reflecting on this. Not having enough fun, taking life too seriously, not being spontaneous, hyper-fixating on goals, waiting for special occasions. So all of these are interwoven, But this one, especially, I feel it deeply. And when I think about disconnection from joy, I shared this a couple years ago. I don't really feel it anymore. The words haven't really come through so much in the last year or two maybe, but I talked a lot about feeling like I'm going through a midlife crisis. It just goes back to everything I've shared thus far about where I am in life, not being where I want to be, not having the marriage and the children and the wealth and the money and the this and that, the things that I'm striving for. And yeah, they hit so deep. There's like a sore, tender space that I feel in my body and in my mind about that. I was working with a coach a couple years ago, and she brought this up with me. And I didn't know that I was experiencing the imbalance. I was so one way, so hyper focused on the professional side of things. I was in school, getting a new career and trying to build a business and doing all these things. And I was just so hyper fixated. And basically, she had said something in a video, and I was listening to it on my way. I remember this so clearly. I was driving to the beach, as I normally would, and I just hit play, and I was listening to her audio. And she basically, not in these exact words maybe, but was like, you need more fun in your life. And it hit so close to home. And I started crying. I was bawling, actually, from the whole drive. And then she talked, obviously, more about that. And the reason I was crying, because for the first time, it actually came to my forefront. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, I don't have that much fun in my life anymore. I'm so hyper-focused, and I just feel like life just became so serious. And I think a lot of ways, my health did that to me, for me. When everything happened and life fell apart, I was just so focused, and I needed that. And I obviously don't regret that. I needed that time. But now it's been 8 years since I've been in this journey, and now it's time to let go even more. You don't need to be so in the healing space, and because we're never done healing. And that's the problem. It's like you always think there's something wrong and there's more. And yeah, there's more. You can unpack your whole life, even beyond. You unpack your lineage and your generations before you. It never ends. There's always going to be something. And so I realized in that moment, this was probably 4 years ago, that she shared that with me. And I was crying because it was real. It was true. And I just was like, what am I doing? And I think that's probably where this whole thing about life is just so different. And I think age does that to us as well. I partied a lot. We had so much fun, not even partied in like a bad way, like drinking and drugs and all that stuff, but just partied, had fun. We traveled a lot. I didn't feel so rigid in my life back then, but I became that through my healing. And you start to open up, you start to learn about just things that are happening in the world. That was around COVID time, so your eyes really like wide open about the corruption in the government and in just everywhere, in the food system, in health, everything. I just became so focused on that, and rightfully so. I'm so glad that I know what I know now because of that. But there needs to be a balance in our lives. There needs to be that ebb and flow. You can't just be one-sided, and you also can't be on the other side. You can't just be fun and spontaneous and live life and be all this like carefree, but not have any foot in the personal, professional self-development, because that's equally important. The healing aspect of it is important. So is the fun aspect, but they're meant to be done together. They're meant to be intertwined and done at the same time, right? And so that's just where I'm coming from. And I've come some ways from that conversation that I had with my coach back then, but I struggle with this. I struggle with this section quite a bit, and I'm trying to let go of that and bringing it back to my birthday. And am I actually living my life to the fullest? If I were to die today, right now at 38, almost 39 years old, what would matter in my life right now? What are things that I need to work on and letting go and just allowing life to like do its thing? And those are some of the things. If you relate to them and resonate with them in your own way, I see you. I really do. And it's really hard. This isn't just like a snap of the finger and you let go of control or you become all spontaneous just like that, 0 to 100. Life doesn't work like that. Healing doesn't work like that. Nothing works like that. But it's the small steps that you do. And so for me, for my birthday, that's a step forward, and it's a big deal. And it shouldn't be. Why does it feel so big? But I'm taking a step. I'm doing something new. I'm doing something different after so long. So that is my experience of what I'm going through. But if you also feel like that around birthdays, or you're always waiting for the next best thing, even like outfits, for example, this is so small, but so big. And so many people think about this. It's like, I'll wear that at the next occasion. I'm going to save that. I do that all the time. I used to more so. I've kind of let go of that. Why? Why can't today be that time to wear that nice dress? Why is it always we're waiting for the right occasion or the right moment? It needs to stop. We need to stop doing that, or we need to start living our lives, is what I'm trying to convey and what I'm trying to say. And I'm preaching to myself. I'm not just speaking this to you. I'm also needing this reminder. I'm also needing these reminders and these lessons, and also needing the reminder that my life is in my control. There are certain aspects of it I cannot control, but there are a lot that I can. And how I want to feel, how I want to look, and how I want to just go about my days, I have a lot of control in that. And that's really hard for a lot of people to hear, sometimes for myself too, because when you're in it and you're in the trenches, you're like, what fucking control do I have? But once you're out of that heaviness and the darkness, and you start to open yourselves up, you start to really reflect and get real honest with yourself, we do have a lot of choice and a lot of control in a lot of areas, maybe not all of them, because I don't agree with that. So I am using this. This is out now in the world, and I am really going to try and use these regrets, if you will, fears. Again, they're not good or bad. They're just things that I feel like maybe regret's not the right word. I think when we think regret, it has a lot of negative connotation to the word, but I'm trying to change that, because I don't think it's just, I wish I did things differently. And that's fine. We all make mistakes. We all grow from them. So I don't really think regret is a bad thing. It may feel bad, but I don't think it really is. I'm using this as fuel. How can I do better? How can I be better? How can I become better? How can I create the life that I'm meant to live? And I do feel like there's so much more for me. I just need to open myself up even more than I've already opened myself up in these last 8 years, and just like do the damn thing. Really, when you want to simplify it, it's like, just do it. Just fucking do it. And yeah, here I am. So with all that, one day I was sitting there and just thinking, and I had the spark to grab my notepad and my pen, and I didn't even know what I was going to do. And I just started thinking about 39 and what do I want this year to look like. It's my last year in my 30s, before I hit 40 next year. So what do I want? Not just the next year, but how do I want the next 5 years? What do I want the feeling to be? And I'm not about the 5-year, 10-year plan, but generally I just meant, how do I want to feel? And so this is what I did. I'm not going to show you all of it because whatever, but I literally took a piece of paper. If you're watching this, you can maybe see, but I drew out the numbers 3 and 9. And then I just, like, every word that came to mind that I wanted to bring into my life and continue bringing into my life, and how I wanted to feel and the energy I wanted to carry into this next year of my life and onwards, I just wrote them down, just free flowing, writing them down. Highly encourage it. It was actually a lot of fun. It was almost like, it's like a wish list. This is what I want, and I want that, and I want that, and I want that, and this and that. And I just went nuts on there. And I'll share some of the words that came up. I mean, I know a lot of people do this at the beginning of the year in January. What's one word to describe this year, me, and etc. And so for me, I did it now for my birthday, and there's well over 39 on the sheet. I'm not going to share them all because some of them are special and sacred and private to me, but just to give you an idea. And this isn't just birthday related. I'm just sharing that because that's where I'm at. But I really want you to sit with everything I've shared and just take it in and see what lands and what resonates with you and how you can relate that to your own life. Sometimes you can sit there with a pen and paper and be like, I have no idea. I don't even know. And that's where finding yourself, and I talk about this a lot, about being present, really getting to know yourself, going to therapy, unpacking the wounds and the trauma and the grief and the pain and all that. But therapy is not just that. There's a lot of things you uncover about yourself, your values, what's important to you, what you're going to stand by, what are your boundaries, what are your non-negotiables in life, and not even with other people, but with yourself. So I've been doing this for so long, for 8 years. So they came to me very easily. But that would just be a reminder, an indication to you to just really think about it, to sit with yourself with no distraction. But some of the words, well, actually, to commemorate and celebrate my 39th coming year, I came up with 39. Well, 40, because I did a bonus one, because obviously. So I'll read you my list. So laughter, joy, easy, seamless. I want an easy life. I've been in this for 8 years, and I'm ready to let go of that hyperfixation. I'm ready to let go of so much being in the healing world, and I want life to be easy. And right now, in the last several years, it's felt hard, I have to say. So easy, seamless. I have a routine. I do things. I'm allowed to be creative, all that stuff. 4, carefree, which coincides with easy and seamless. I feel like right now, with the rigidity and the hyperfixation and the stress and the anxiety around what's to come and what is my life going to look like, I want to have that little bit of carefree energy that you have when you're younger and when you're youthful. I don't think that's a bad idea. I just think I'm too much on one side, and I want more of that in my upcoming year and the years that follow. Simplicity through and through. Healthy. I want to be healthy. I want healthy mind, body, spirit. I want to feel strong. 8, confident. Secure was another word that came through to me. That can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Stability, independence, and the reason why that came through for a lot of reasons, but especially my driver's license. So for me, that's obviously a big one. I just pray to God every single day that I will be able to have and hold a valid driver's license. And that to me is very important. And so that was something that I want to bring in the energy and just, fingers crossed. Freedom, obviously. I wrote wealthy, rich. I want money. I want more money because with the lifestyle that I live and for the things that I want to do for my health, mostly, I want that. And especially in this day and age. And I think that's okay to admit. I think money is such a interesting topic, and there's so much opinions and stuff, but I love money and I want more of it. I want lots more of it. So that's something else that I'm trying to, bring into fruition. Expansion, peace, euphoria, adventure, soulful connections, just really good heart-centered conversations with epic people who are also grounded and rooted in the same values and can appreciate you and share that two-way street of a friendship or a relationship or a companionship, to sit there with one another, to really get to know them, to really see them for who they are beyond everything else that's at the forefront. Grounded, ecstatic. I want to feel ecstatic. I want to feel that full 1000% zest and hunger and thirst for life again. I have it now. It's there. It's been there even throughout all the darkness, but it's not 100%. I just want that feeling. Balance. I talked about that a lot with if I were to die today, what are the things that are holding me back and keeping me from having that balance in my life? So that's huge. Fun, intimacy, depth, wholeness, trust in myself, trust in God, trust in the timing of my life. So much. If you break down each of these, there's actually so much under each and every one of them. But I'm not going to go into all of those because those are sacred to me, but you can imagine. And I would encourage you to do that same thing. As you're doing your list, what is it about that word, or what is it about that you're wanting, that you're longing for? Abundance, magic. I love magic. I think miracles and magic, and there's so much of that in our life, in our day-to-day. You just have to slow down, be present, and be open to receiving it. Authenticity, that's me through and through. When I shared earlier in this episode that a family member had said, you're so authentic, you're so real, and you can tell you're just sharing from the heart. And I pride myself in that. And I'm proud of myself for that, because I don't know how to be any other way. It's really hard for me to be fake. It's really hard to me to just perform. I just don't know any other way. I think I've always been like that. And so that is something that I want to continue bringing into my life. And all the things that I'm sharing, I probably wouldn't have done this so many years ago. I mean, I've been like that because it's hard for me to perform and be fake, but there's a lot that I did keep to myself where I felt a lot of shame around certain things, even about being single and longing for a partner, and sharing with you guys, even in a blog post, that I feel unlovable and is my time ever going to come? Is there something wrong with me? Those are very vulnerable parts. But I've worked through a lot of that, and I just feel so much more confident in it, and I'm okay sharing it because I'm not the only one. There's so many other people that feel that same way but aren't able to articulate that, and that's okay because you're not there yet. That's what therapy's for. But it's just, I think it's really important, and I think I had to go through everything that I've gone through in these last, I guess, 14 years since my diagnosis, but especially these last 8 years with all the healing I've done. And I do believe that everything that happened, the way it happened, had to happen that way, because if it didn't, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have gone back to school. I wouldn't have done all this healing and growth and transformation on myself, personally and professionally, and I wouldn't be able to then guide others in it, right? To share and spark some wisdom and inspiration and empowerment to you, which is the whole premise of this show and the work that I do, really, as a therapist, as a coach, as an educator, as a grief and loss practitioner. Everything's just so interconnected and ties into one another in some way, shape, or form. And so that's just a little tidbit on authenticity, and I really encourage all of us to lean more into that. And I think that's where that connection piece comes in, right? When we're really authentic and we allow ourselves to just be as we are, it builds connection, it builds relatability. And I don't do this for any money or likes or anything. I'm not making any money off of this, but I'm spending a lot of time and energy into it because it's something that I'm so passionate about, and being of service to the world, which I believe we all are meant to do that in some capacity. And so, yeah, I'll leave that at that. Alignment, obviously, you want to be aligned in your life. I don't need misalignment. I don't need misaligned friendships, misalignment in family. I want alignment in my life, and that's what I'm striving for in personally and professionally. Special was a word that came through when I was writing, and yeah, I want to feel special. I want this year to feel special, every day to feel special in its ordinary way, liberated. Intention, obviously, everything should be done with intention. So I really try to do that. Love, obviously, love for family, love for friends, but also I hope to find love, whether that's today, tomorrow, a year, 2 years, I don't know, but love is love. Romance, obviously, happiness, travel. Now that I've gone to Japan and did a really big international trip, it sparked something in me, and now I want to bring in more travel into my life. And that was 39, 40. Last but not least, thriving. That was the extra good luck one. Thriving. I want to be thriving as I am now, but in multiply that in all the areas that I'm feeling lack, and the areas that I'm feeling that I'm not thriving or that I don't have enough. I want to be thriving altogether as a human being. I want to be able to bring all this forward and continue to. A lot of this I've already brought into my life. I feel it. I'm just really excited to see what this next year brings. It's crazy to think that I'm entering my last year of my 30s, and that's in this moment that feels exciting, but also feels scary, I have to say. They say your 40s are your best years. So I am looking forward to that, in the sense that you stop caring so much about what other people think or say. You're so rooted and so grounded in who you are. It's unshakable. I've heard that a lot for people who share about their 40s. You just don't give a fuck about the things that don't matter, truthfully. And I'm getting there for sure. I'm way more confident now than I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I know what standards I hold for people in my life, whether that's friendships, family. Those are important to me. I'm able to then speak my needs and express myself. And I just know it's like you basically cut the bullshit is what I think happens in your 40s from what I'm gathering from what people have shared who are already in their fourth decade of life. It's like you cut the bullshit. Your intuition, you listen to it more. You listen to your gut. You know when things are off. You're like, I don't have time for that. And you're able to say no with a full, complete sentence. You just don't have time for that. Or for things, for people that aren't aligned with where you're at in life. People who don't, if it's a one-way relationship, one-way friendship, I've had to unfortunately let go of some of those friendships because they are one way. And I'm just at a point at 39 almost going, no, it's a two-way street. I don't have time for these superficial conversations. I'm sorry. This isn't a dig to anyone, but it is what it is. I don't have time for that. I need reciprocation. I need to know that you care. I need to know that you can reach out to me. I need to know that I can call you and you can support me and vice versa. And I'm good at that. I'm a really good friend and I pride myself in that. I reach out. I want to connect with you. And yeah, life gets busy, but people need to stop using that as a fucking excuse. And this is something that brings up a lot for me. And I think as I was sharing earlier in the episode about people not really acknowledging your successes and accomplishments and this and that, and they're watching from the sidelines and they're watching you, they know what you're doing, but then they pretend they don't, or they just don't even say anything, like as simple as a congratulations or, hey, how are you doing? And yet they know because they're watching your social media, they're listening. And it's like you're sharing all these things and you have strangers on the internet reaching out to you to check in. But you have so-called friends or people that are just in your circles and family too, I'll have to say, that don't even care. And it's a one-way street. And the funny thing is that a lot of these people are the ones that are married and have kids. And so it's like, I think that happens a lot in the single community, I guess if you call it. If you don't have kids or you don't have a family of your own, it's like you're deemed as less than or less busy. And it's like, oh, we're so busy, this and that. But we're all busy. I'm busy in my own way, but I still have time to reach out to the people that matter to me. I still have time to drop a message. It's not hard to just say, hey, even if you're going through a lot, hey, lots has been going on. I'm so sorry, but I've been thinking about you. Hope you're well. Let's get together soon. Or something along those lines. That's all it takes. How long does it take to send a freaking message? Like 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. We all are going through something. Hello, like I know, so am I, but none of that matters. That's what I need. That's what I want in my life. Those aren't relationships. Those aren't friendships. Friendships fall apart. Family relationships fall apart. That's life. And I used to be really caught up in that as well because it's grief. You're losing whatever relationship that is to you, whether it's intimate or friendship or family or whatever, you're still losing that relationship. And I used to be so stuck on that, especially when you get ghosted, even by friends. You have no idea what went wrong. And you're sitting there going, what the fuck? And you get in your own head. You're wanting closure all the time. But I've really life goes on and I've changed, and life's too short to spend it on people who don't care about you, who can't give you the same level of love and attention and care and interest and curiosity about your life that you can for them. It shouldn't just be one-sided. And I think we're so afraid to admit them, but it's like, why? To me, that's basic human living. That's basic 101. And so where was I going with all that? I was going with that. I think just saying when you're entering your 40s and you're in your 40s, you're so stable in that. You're so comfortable. You're so just don't have the time for all that other nonsense. And I'm getting there. I am definitely there. So that's exciting to know that that's what the fourth decade brings. And yeah, what else did I want to share? I don't know. I just think that was it. This was to commemorate myself, my birthday. I love birthdays. I'm excited to celebrate with my girlfriends and have a night to be about me, which will be just really cool and fun, and to get dressed up. Haven't done that in a long time. and just live life, right? Stop waiting and start living. For the first time in a long time, I'm going to stop waiting and start living. Thank you again, honestly, for listening, for sharing, for engaging with the podcast. Even if you're not engaging with me personally, downloading, saving, it means so much. It honestly really does. It brings the podcast up to more people. It would really mean a lot if you can download the episode. Someone actually asked me, what does that mean when you say download the episode? And I didn't realize that a lot of people don't know what that is. If you don't listen to podcasts, you're not familiar with that, you wouldn't know. But if you're on Apple Podcasts, if you're on Spotify, I also have a YouTube channel, which is where the videos are. The arrow, the down arrow usually means download, or there might be a save button on all of those, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the YouTube. Those are the main areas that I think people listen to podcasts. But you just hit that down arrow, and that means you download the episode, meaning that you've downloaded it. So it tells the algorithm, it tells the system that, oh, people enjoy this. People want more of that. They enjoyed the episode. They liked it. It resonates. And so it just brings, I think, the way the algorithm works with these systems is that it brings it to more people. And the more downloads you have, so podcast is a lot about downloads. So the more you have, the more it's going to move up and up and up. And the whole point of this is to reach more people. That's the whole point of doing this work, right? It's that community aspect. But the more people we can touch and reach, and you can touch and reach, is the more that we all heal. That's where that collective healing comes into play when I talk about that often. So please share it, download it. That means a lot. Rate it. I don't use Apple as much because I'm not an Apple user, but the stars, you can rate the show. So the whole entire Story Hour podcast, you can rate it 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever, and then leave a review. The reviews also, somehow the algorithm picks up on those as well. And so it'd mean a lot to me if you can take a minute out of your day to leave comments, leave reviews, show it some love so we can expand. I'm surprised it's in so many countries. And so that to me is really cool, and so many different cities. And so the more the more you guys can do that, that just, again, brings it to even more people. And that's the whole point. I hope everyone's well. I will see everyone soon.